Welcome back to another episode of Transitions from War. I'm your host, Mike Ergo. I'm a Marine Corps veteran who has returned from Iraq and faced the challenges of PTSD, addiction, and grief to create a new life that is balanced and healthy in mind, body, and spirit. Each episode, I'll share my journey or interview inspiring veterans and subject matter experts to help us find that purpose and connection we all crave. You can follow the show on Instagram at transitionsfromwar_, between the words. Join our TFW page on Facebook, Twitter, and transitionsfromwar.com. If you have questions, comments, or topic ideas, please email mike@transitionsfromwar.com. And if you enjoy the show, please leave us a rating and review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. So for today's episode, I'll be reading my ebook entitled Reconnecting with Mind, Body, and Spirit. It's something I came out with a couple years ago, and I think it's a quick, easy, practical guide for a lot of us to deal with some of the difficult things we struggle with coming back, whether it's depression, anxiety, restlessness. So share this with your friends, share this with people who need to read it or hear it. And in this book, there are a lot of resources, a lot of links to things you can check out, places I like to go, things I like to be a part of, like Team RWB. You can download this ebook. Just look in the show notes. I put the link right there. It's all free. All right, everyone. Let's get to the episode. Mind, Body, and Spirit, an ebook by Mike Ergo. The Journey Home. I'm home. Now what? In the spring of 2001, I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. I planned to be in the band. It's okay, I laughed too. But the attacks on September 11th set me on a different path, to the infantry. I deployed to Iraq twice, most notably to Fallujah in 2004. I fought in Operation Phantom Fury, the largest urban battle Americans have fought in since Hue City in Vietnam War. I was honorably discharged in 2005 and returned to my hometown, Walnut Creek, California. Already to be a happy-go-lucky civilian again, I grew frustrated that it was not so easy. Anger, panic attacks, intrusive thoughts, nightmares, avoidance, isolation, all the symptoms of PTSD. But even more than PTSD, I was struggling to find a purpose in life. What could I possibly do after combat that would matter? Feeling stuck led me straight into the trap of self-pity that turned into full-blown alcoholism. I blamed others for my circumstances and became someone I despised, a dishonest, flaky, mean-spirited drunk. The Semper Fidelis tattoo on my chest mocked me each morning in the mirror. I was anything but faithful. After a few years of heavy drinking, I was 40 pounds overweight and felt terrible. My marriage was on life support, and I was barely making it through school. I lived to get drunk and high. In July of 2012, my wife let me know that I had a choice to make. Change my life or the marriage was over. Message received. I quit using alcohol and drugs that day. A good friend brought me to the 12-step recovery community, and I spent time soul-searching and uncovering the inconsistencies and character defects in my life. The truth was painful, but the change was worth every second of discomfort. I was liberated from the slavery of alcoholism and self-sabotage. With no chemical aids, I faced the hurricane of feelings I had avoided for years. Grief from friends lost in combat, resentment towards myself, resentment towards others, and fear. Fear that I was not good enough. Fear that if people really knew me, that they would leave. A spiritual teacher helped me face these fears head on and learn that they were an illusion. In fact, I started to see fear as something to move towards. Fear became a helpful guide in my next steps in life. Little by little, I reacquainted myself with how good it felt to work out and put more wholesome foods into my body. I accepted the challenge to do an open-water swim from Alcatraz to San Francisco. I started blending fruits and vegetables into shakes that tasted better and better. And then, one day on vacation in Hawaii, I watched elite athletes compete in the Ironman World Championships. The shiver down my spine contrasted the oppressive heat among Kona's lava fields. I didn't know how I would get there, but the sport of triathlon was my next step. I signed up for my first triathlon soon after that vacation. I chose a local half Ironman, a 70.3-mile race. Twice a week, I found community with my local swim team. I surrounded myself with people who had similar values and goals. Most days I was running, biking, and swimming. The grief of losing my friends in Iraq still ate at me, but this time I used that grief as fuel. I would honor my friends in each race by wearing the names on my triathlon jersey. It wasn't just a race anymore. Now there was a purpose behind it, a chance to let the pain be there, but be proud of the men I served with, a chance to tell others about the Marines who made the ultimate sacrifice. No more hiding, no more numbing out. This was my path to healing. Today, my life revolves around family, healthy eating, and exercise. If I had read this 7 years ago, that would have been terrible news. And I don't think I could find satisfaction and fulfillment in sobriety. I could not imagine getting a break from the fear, panic, sadness, and anger that came along with PTSD. Fortunately, I found my way out, and life is truly better than I could have imagined. This is not to prop myself up and brag about how great I have done. Firstly, I could never have done this without the courage of my wife to demand the real me. I could not have done this without the support of family, friends, therapists, spiritual teachers, and the community. I write my blog, Transitions for More, to inspire those who are stuck in that same rut I once was. I'm living proof that change is not only possible, but that becoming our best selves is a birthright. Included in this ebook are a few ways to get you started. If you are reading this with doubt, that's okay. Bring that doubt along with you. Your results will be the only proof you need. Chapter 1. The Mind. With major transitions in life, anxiety and depression are common companions. Coming home from employment and transitioning out of the military are two of the biggest challenges people face in life. Many of us expect to come home and return to the civilian life without any hiccups, as if we had not changed in major fundamental ways. But like it or not, we return different people. Military life is a very specific culture with its own customs, dialect, and values. We spend anywhere from 6 to 13 weeks learning them in basic training, let alone the rest of our military careers. Getting out is a culture shock. It may seem like the pace of life changes from speeding on the freeway to slowly meandering on city streets. The mind is our most powerful weapon. It is our strongest ally, but like any powerful weapon, it could be unwieldy without the proper training. By noticing the mind and how it operates, we can have more choice in how we react to circumstances. Many veterans I talk to explain their frustration with how civilians just don't get it, or how X is not as efficient as it should be. We may have expectations of the civilian world to function like the military, which is unrealistic in many cases. This can lead to frustration, anger, resentment, and depression. If we hold on to the expectations that are constantly disappointed, those feelings fester inside and keep us stuck. Returning from combat, veterans can also experience a heightened sense of awareness or hypervigilance, scanning the environment for threats wherever we go. This skill is a great ally in combat, but it does not serve us well back home. It's exhausting. It keeps us from truly tasting the food we eat. We miss out on the subtle nuances of conversations with others. In short, we see everything around us, but little right in front of us. So how do we stop doing this? 1. The first step is awareness. Noticing that our mind is giving us thoughts. Noticing that our bodies are reacting in certain ways. This is always the first step to changing a pattern of behavior that does not serve us well. What does your mind say to you? This shouldn't be so hard, or why is this taking so long? How does your body feel? What sensations are occurring? When I am angry, I notice a pulsing in my temples, tightness in my chest, and a lot of tension in my neck and shoulders. When I am nervous or feel dread, there's a twisting sensation in my guts and an icy, fluttery feeling in my chest. And when I am happy, there's a lightness in my body and warm feeling in my heart. What sensations do you notice? Everyone has different sensations unique to them. With practice, you will be able to notice these more readily. 2. The second step is acceptance. Most people would rather not feel unpleasant feelings. That is natural. But what happens when we avoid these feelings and thoughts? What things do we do that are harmful to us in the long term? For me, it was drinking and binge eating. This kept that feeling at bay for a time, but they returned to a fatter me. Many times it is not the feeling that is the problem. It is our solution that gets us into trouble. What if we could make friends with these feelings? So now you may be thinking, this is some weird hippie bullshit stuff, Mike. Who does this? I agree. The thought of making friends with feelings is bizarre. But just like that bully that doesn't get the reaction they want from us, Accepting and welcoming unpleasant feelings and thoughts takes away their power over us. Maybe we don't need that pint of whiskey or tub of Ben & Jerry's this time. I've learned to simply say hello to these feelings and keep in my mind that they are only temporary and will pass eventually. 3. Figure out what we can change. There's a lot of wisdom in the serenity prayer used in recovery groups, which goes, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. What is in your power to change? Can you go for a walk, call a friend, do some deep breathing? Of course you can. Conversely, what can you do to change traffic or bad weather? Nothing. Once you realize this, it becomes easier to let go. Anyone who has made it through boot camp has done this successfully. Drill instructor smoking a skin for no reason? Just do those push-ups and mountain climbers. Let go of how it shouldn't be this way. It is. Chapter 2. The body. Our bodies give us great feedback. When we treat our bodies well, it just feels good. When we overlook ourselves, we pay for it. Eating poorly can lead to health complications. A sedentary life leaves the body weak. In my experience, there are 3 main ways to treat our bodies well: sleep, nutrition, and movement. Sleep. Contrary to popular belief, we don't get stronger during a workout. That happens during recovery, the time between workouts. Without enough sleep, our bodies cannot handle the physical and mental stress we experience each day. Lack of sleep can lead to weight gain, sickness, injury, and overall irritability. Good sleep habits can set the odds in our favor. A few easy ways of doing this are to A. Turn off the TV, phone, and computer at least 1 hour before bedtime. The blue light emitted by these devices tells our brain to wake up. It's the same signal we get with morning sunlight. B. Make your room as dark as possible for sleeping. Get blackout curtains, turn off the lights, or use a sleeping mask. C. Have a consistent bedtime. This makes it easier for your body to start winding down at the same time. D. Have a sleep ritual. It could be as simple as one relaxing back stretch or a few deep breaths. Just like consistent bedtime, a sleep ritual also helps your body to know when to start winding down. 2. Nutrition. Every internet guru, in air quotes, has an opinion on nutrition. Paleo, gluten-free, vegetarian, vegan, high carb, low carb, the list goes on and on. So how does anyone cut through all the BS and contradictions the health experts are giving us? I take a simple approach inspired by Michael Pollan, author of In Defense of Food. He states that we can avoid the hassle of counting the grams of protein, carbs, or fat that we should have. Instead, we can focus on foods that are closest to their original form when they were alive. Would your great-grandmother recognize it as food? Then eat it. Check in with yourself 30 minutes later. How do you feel? There are plenty of foods that may taste great at first, but leave me feeling awful 30 minutes later, like barbecue, pizza, ice cream. Once again, your body will let you know what is working if you can check in with yourself and listen. Michael Pollan helps us keep it simple with his timeless phrase, eat food, not too much, mostly plants. 3. Movement. Our bodies were created to move. We feel good when we are moving more and sitting less. Anyone who has a baseline of fitness knows this. One thing that I struggled with the first few years after the Marine Corps was overdoing it. What is overdoing it? For me, it was a cycle. First, I would look in the mirror and see how pudgy I looked. I was disgusted. Then I proceeded to haze myself with some weights, a death run, and calisthenics until I was gassed. I didn't listen to the signs my body was giving me. I jumped right into the type of workout I should have been able to do. The workout I could do at the peak of my physical fitness. Then I would get sore, strained, or injured and have to limit physical activity for a few weeks. Ease back into exercise. You will reach your goal sooner and without injury. Find something that is fun to do. Pay attention to your body and stop or slow down when you need to. Be honest with yourself about where you are and not where you should be. Slow and consistent movement beats inconsistent bursts of intensity. Walking, hiking, biking, calisthenics, and doing yoga at a moderate level are among the best activities to start with. Each week, I enjoy my practice with the Veterans Yoga Project. Movement should be enjoyable. If we exercise in the spirit of enjoyment, it will be sustainable. If we thrash ourselves as punishment, it will eventually be avoided and abandoned. My favorite aspect of intentional movement is truly being in the moment. It is here that the bombardment of thoughts cease, and we get a break from the noise of the mind. 3. Spirit, the search for meaning. Outside of any religious context, humans have a spiritual craving for connection and meaning. These are core values of almost everyone. Many veterans value service, integrity, selflessness, and teamwork. These intangible qualities and desires make up our spirit. When we take inventory of our values, it becomes clear if we are not living in accordance with them. This creates turmoil in the mind, body, and spirit. What keeps many of us from living in accordance with our values? Fear, sadness, anger, and trying to be someone we think others will like. This is inauthentic. At our core, we know this. Connection. One of the core things we crave as humans is connection with others. Sebastian Junger, creator of the documentaries Restrepo and Korngal, wrote the book Tribe. In it, he postulates many problems veterans face or from the loss of tight bonds forged in combat. Humans have lived in tight-knit bands and tribes since before recorded history. A complex and intimate level of social interaction is woven into our DNA. We are hardwired to have many close relationships. But how do we connect when we feel so different than our civilian classmates and coworkers? We face fears, knowing that some short-term discomfort pays dividends. One of the tribes I belong to is Team RWB, a group of active duty military, vets, and civilians that get together for physical fitness and social events. Within minutes of my first event, the joking and commonality amongst us was reminiscent of the camaraderie I had in the Marine Corps. Meaning. What brings your life meaning? How do you find joy? Like many veterans, I'm fulfilled in the service of others. I take care of my needs in order to serve, but I end up suffering when focusing too hard on myself. Fulfillment and happiness are different. Happiness is a great feeling, but it is fleeting. Fulfillment and joy do not depend on feelings that can change as quickly as the weather. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl wrote of his experiences in Auschwitz, the concentration camp, sharing his belief that our main drive in life is neither pleasure nor pain, but meaning. We find meaning by 1, interacting authentically with the environment and others. 2, giving something back to the world through creativity and self-expression. And 3, changing our attitude when faced with a situation or circumstance we cannot change. Outside of direct service to others, many find meaning in creating. Music, art, poetry, or writing are all powerful ways to give back to others. We don't need a reason to create art other than for the sake of creating. Like Neil Gaiman says, simply make good art. A link of a downloadable PDF for Mind, Body, and Spirit will be in the show notes, so you can all download it and check out all the resources I've included for each chapter. Thank you. All right, that concludes today's episode of the Transitions for More podcast with me, Mike Ergo. I really hope you enjoyed it. Remember, you can follow the show on Instagram at transitionsfrommore, _ between the words. Join our TFW Facebook page, Twitter, and transitionsfrommore.com. If you have questions, comments, or topic ideas, please email me, Mike at transitionsfrommore.com. And if you enjoyed the show, leave us a rating and review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, because it really helps us get more exposure while we try to reach as many vets as possible. And, of course, if you have friends you think might like the show, please be sure to share it with them. Text it to them, email it to them, whatever. All right, guys, that's it for now. So thanks for listening. And until next time, remember to drink water, meditate, and kill bodies.